Hey guys. Hey guys. Welcome to another episode of Hello World, where we talk about everything and anything. How is everyone doing? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Let me check to see if I'm buffering. It's saying right now that I'm unable to connect with the chat. Let me see. I guess that's not the same, but you know what I need to do? I need to check. And right now there is an ad running. So let me check another device and see. Um, first and foremost, I'd like to thank you all for joining me, for giving me a little bit of your time because you could be doing anything and being anywhere, anywhere, anywhere. Guys, let's not limit ourselves to anywhere as to always having to be away, to be driving somewhere, to be in another state, in another country, another island, whatever. Anywhere is pretty much anywhere in here. Wherever your mind goes is where you can go. So I'm thankful that you can be here with me just for a few moments. If you can, please like, subscribe, share, and turn on your notification bells. Give me a thumbs up or down. Whatever you feel is more comfortable with for you is fine. I would appreciate it. And also, last but not least, please share out the stream. The chat is not working from my computer, so I have to look at the phone. Hey, Kingdom Boy, what's going on? How are you? Welcome to Hello World. I'm gonna put it right here. This is where the chat gonna go today. Hey, Miss TR. Oh, girl, you scared me, Miss TR. I thought you were saying that, you heard something. Yeah, I was thinking about her. I was thinking about her just a few moments ago. I was gonna try to reach out to her through Instagram, but she never responds there. So I'm hoping she's okay. And I assume you didn't hear anything? Question mark. Me and your boyfriend adopted a puppy. Okay, yes. I think I saw you were saying you were gonna be adopting a puppy. What kind of breed is it? Hey, Feb. Hey, Feb Squad. How are you? Welcome to Hello World. About shout out to everyone in the building. And shout out to you for making it in. I appreciate you. Oh no. Wow. That's sad, y'all. And it's so crazy today, Miss TR, what I'm about to talk about. Uh Everyone, if you can, send up some good vibrations, well wishes, love, whatever you can, for Nadia. She's sincerely yours, Nadia A. She's here on YouTube, and I met her a couple months ago. She does soaping, and if any of you had ever caught her in any of her lives, she always spoke so highly of her father. And Miss Tiara is saying that he passed away last night or yesterday sometime. So please, guys, just send up something for her right now. I know she's got to be broken up about it because, again, like I said, she spoke very highly of him. And it kind of, it kind of, it's hard. You know what I'm saying? It's not my parent, but I understand what it feels like to have a loss. So I really do feel for her right now. Miss TR, if you speak to her, just let her know that I said hello and that, my there's nothing to say, but just tell her I said hey. And if she needs to talk, I'm around. Even if she doesn't want to talk, if she needs to do anything, I'm around and I'm deeply sorry for her loss. Hey, Octavia, what's up, short bus? What's going on? A toy poodle named Benny. Okay. Um, yeah, that's so sad. Yeah, I don't even know. Let me go find it real quick. Wow. That is so sad. Just gonna find her page. Hold on, remove this. Hey, tie dye, what's going on? Oh yeah, this is Nadia's page. I'm just gonna put her name Nadia. I mean, and if any of you know her, she's always so supportive of primarily all of us. If she's been in your chat and she rocks with you, she'll come to your chat, she supports you. Um, that is her link. And she has a Facebook page, but it's a business Facebook page. Oh, I'm sorry to hear about that tie dye. But tie dye Nadia, you may have seen her maybe in here once or twice. She had always been so kind to drop links in my chat when she was here. Her father passed away yesterday. Sometime yesterday, her father passed, and I just found out right now. Miss TR just wrote it in the chat, so kind of throws you off a little bit. And it's crazy because that had nothing to do with what I had to talk about. Um, but anyway, I'm gonna try to carry on as normal. So let's see, where do I start? All right, so I woke up this morning and I did not go to work. No, I didn't go to work. I don't have to go to work again until probably next week. Um, I It was a decent day. I was in Hype Man's chat. I was at Carter's Eat. I was in Baby and Kids Unlimited. I was a little bit of places today. And then I ventured out because I needed to pick some stuff up in order to ship out an item that someone had purchased, and then I also needed to pick up some things at my job. So I did those things, and then afterwards I went to the supermarket. The supermarket was fine. I wore my mask. Yes, I wore my mask, and I got I got what I needed at the supermarket, and then pretty much just that was it for the day. I took a nap, and now I'm here with you guys. It's her business, but drop condolences in her DM. Hey, E Cook and Live It Up. What's going on? Welcome to Hello World. Today is a little sad, E Cook. Um, your grandmother passed away too, tie dye. Okay, sorry for your loss. I don't know if you know Nadia E Cook, but I just found out from Miss TR that her father passed away last night or sometime yesterday, and that was her heart and soul. Hey, Paint Boy, what's going on? Welcome to Hello World. Um, anyway, I hope that you guys had a good day. Drop and let me know how your day was. I would love to know. I would love to know. And if you can, just throw me some thumbs up or down, whatever you feel comfortable doing. I titled today as My Tribute. And it's just amazing how Miss TR is in my chat and told me about that. Yeah, yeah, it's sad. If you ever had been in her chat, she always talked about her dad. Hey, AKA, what's going on? So, my tribute, guys. When you first come to my page as a first time comer, right? You'll see the video of Michelle. And Michelle, she's primarily the reason why this channel exists. It was an idea that I had, and she was so kind enough and gracious enough to oblige my question. Now, this channel, my idea for this channel was to be a place where people could hear stories from real time people Like you and I, we look like each other. When not anybody's too much more wealthy or like superstarish where you would think, oh man, like they can't relate. But someone that is relatable. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to get people who had stories about how they triumph in life, how they struggle in life, or how, whatever the case may be, right? Just so that whoever views the actual content will be like, wow, I go through the same thing too. And I'm sorry, the lighting is kind of crazy. And I I'm a very shy person. And I don't know, most of you may not even know that, but I am. Hey Wanda, what's going on? Welcome to Hello World. Oh, people, I hope that you feel better soon. Hey Marley, what's up, Marley? What happened? What's going on? Are you pregnant or did you get a job? It's one or the other. Um, so Michelle. Okay, so let me backtrack a little bit. So the idea for this channel was to be that outlet. So people can see normal people doing everyday things and going through everyday experiences that we can relate to, whether it be about substance abuse, whether it be about any other type of abuse, whether it be about struggling in a job, in a workplace, whatever the case may be. That's what this whole channel was is supposed to be about. Where we can come together anonymously sometimes and see another person's story and be like, wow, they're going through the same thing I'm going through and I'm not alone. So that was the idea for the channel. About around 2014, I started visiting a different church. I did 2 videos today. You did? Okay. Hey, NQs, what's going on? Welcome to Hello World. Good to see you. Welcome. Um, I'm looking at my phone because the chat isn't working for me on the computer. So, NQs, what's going on? I'm so glad that you came. We woke up this morning, was sick. Ay, ay, ay. Yes. So, I'm just talking about my tribute. And, all right. So, where was I? Uh, right. So, 2014 is around the time where everything was pretty much topsy turvy in my life, right? Everything was topsy turvy. You know, I was in the middle of a lot of life changes, let's just say. And then I started visiting another church. Now, any of you who actually go to church know that most of the times your church will be like, be careful of, visiting other churches because God isn't always there, which is very true. It's very true. So I had that fear on top of it too. Like, wow, I don't want to go somewhere and then end up not being Christian anymore. You know what I mean? So I was like, well, God, you're going to have to help me find a church to go to because I just don't want to keep visiting so many other churches. I went online, Google searched one. And what caught my eye with this particular church that I visit um, was that they had a smile ministry. That's what the ministry was called, Smile. And I was like, oh snap, that sounds cool. Let me email them and see, what that's all about and when their hours are. And long story short, I ended up visiting that church. And people had always told me that I had a good smile. So I was like, okay, the smile ministry is something I could probably be a part of. Hey, glitter boy, what's going on? Welcome to Hello World. And so I met Michelle. And um, Michelle was also going through some really hard times as well. Michelle, I think about a year previous, or like a couple, let's just say about 8 or 9 months previous, because her son passed away in August. And then I met her like that following August, or like July, August. I met her that following year. So her son passed away in summer of 2013, and I met her in like spring, summer of 2014. So that's where the connection was. And so, she was talking about how her son died and how she was going to church and whatever. And in this particular church, it was only about like 20 members. I had never been to a church with that many people. And I had never been to a church that met in a movie theater. And I was like, yes, this is dope. Sorry. That's my ringtone. I don't even feel like playing it. Um, I have to call them back. So after the service, they usually have like a meet and greet where there's like continental breakfast. And y'all know I can eat. I was like, okay, this is good. But I'm also shy. So I was like, I'm not going to that breakfast by myself. Right. And so, oh man, my chat closed. All right. Don't forget to oh, thank you, Fab Squad. Thank you. Um, so Michelle and this other woman, I can't remember her name because this all ties together. Trust me. I can't remember her name, and there's a specific reason why I'm assuming. But Michelle and this other woman were just like they had seen me come into the church a few times. Like I had come like maybe 3 or 4 times, and then they were like, "Oh, you should come to the thing afterwards." And I was like, "Okay, I'm the withdrawn type." You know what I mean? Again, remember, my life was topsy turvy right now. So my trust factor in humanity was like this, like even more closed fist, very closed fist. While I would still be, like, okay, thank you. I would be like, who am I going to talk to? Who do I even want to talk to? So eventually I ended up staying. And the three of us became like the three amigos. And around that time is when I wanted to start my series called Our Lives Seen Through My Eyes. And that's the series. This whole YouTube channel is supposed to be called Our Lives Seen Through My Eyes, right? Where we talk about everything and people talk about their lives. So I asked Michelle, I was like, hey, Michelle, I know your son passed away, and her son passed away from pretty much a drug overdose. If you want the whole story, you got to watch it. It's the very first video. And that video is about 4 years old now. I will never move it because, again, this is a tribute about Michelle. I will never move it. So, Michelle, she said, yeah, Joy, no problem. I was like, really? I'm assuming she would say no. I assumed she would say no because one, she had just lost her son. Two, we don't even know each other that long. And three, who would want to, I assumed she would have a hard time talking about her son and the loss, but she didn't. So she came. And man, that right there just blew my mind. I was thinking about her last night and I was just like, wow, of all the people in the world, somebody that I barely know, someone who was so willing to be vulnerable and talk about her son who passed away from substance abuse to the whole world who could potentially see this story. And so in the video, um, she talks about the stages that her son went through and ultimately how he died. So ultimately, they assume because it was an unsolved mystery. She assumes that her son may have been high on Xanax, heroin, and some other drug. Because she said, based off of what the girlfriend said, because he was living with his girlfriend in somewhere in New Jersey. And she said, based off of that, she assumes maybe he got beat up. She doesn't know, but maybe he ran out into the middle of the street just being high, got hit by a car, and just kept getting hit by cars, by cars, by cars. And she said, until one car stopped and was like, what did I run over? And they realized it was a human. Um, so she told that story. Hey, kicking it with Karen, what's going on? Hey, baby and kids, woo woo woo. How are you? Hey, Verns, what's going on? Yeah, and imagine not only is it awful, but she was willing to talk about it because she knew as a surviving parent, she only had one son. She knew as a surviving parent how many other parents may be going through the same thing about their child or children having, a substance abuse issue or dying or whatever the case may be. So she became an outlet for so many people who don't want to speak about that. Do you know how many people, how many parents, how many spouses, how many people are suffering with people who are either under some type of substance abuse or just suffering from someone else's addiction to whatever. So Michelle, she was my very first candidate to be on Our Lives Seen Through My Eyes. And that blew my mind because she was guys, you have no idea. I don't ask people for anything, or very rarely do I ask people for anything. And this was my baby. So imagine me asking someone to help me bring my baby to life, my series to life, and to willingly say, yeah, not even question like, well, maybe, let me think about it. She just said yes. It's not easy. All of us can attest to that. It's not easy. When you have something that you're working on or something that you like or love and asking people for help, because in essence, I asked her for help and she said yes. How many of us ask for help? How many of us are willing to ask people for help? And how many times do people give you the runaround, say no, or just say no? Or maybe you just get stuck at the fear part or the rejection. Remember, we replace fear with rejection, with the idea of being rejected to not even ask. So fast forward, I'm like, wow, I post a video, and I only posted that one video in 2014. I tried to get other candidates, and surprisingly, some people said yes. And of course, when time came, they were nowhere to be found. Uh, Nothing. So when I say asking people to do things is hard, it really is. So many people came across and said, yes, they want to share their story about whatever topic they chose to talk about. And then made me waste time getting a production team together. Because by at that time, I didn't record and film things myself. I was lucky enough to find a film student that I worked with before, and he helped me with that. But still, I still had to take care of things for him, right? So, he recorded that for me, and he worked with me again on another person who was talking about depression. But for some reason that audio got lost, so he never did send that over. All the other people that are in the series, the Our Lives Seen Through My Eyes series, either I actually recorded them myself and produced it myself. So thankful that other people did come through when they said they would. But Michelle, I start to lose track of years, right? Um, Michelle ended up one day, the pastor was talking about how someone in the congregation, mind you, I didn't really speak to too many people. I would go to the breakfast with the one lady and then leave right after and then go to the gym. Um, he was talking about oh yeah, let's pray for, Michelle. And I'm like, well, there's two Michelles in that church. So I was like, well, I know you're not talking about the Michelle that I know. So I was like, which Michelle are you talking about? So apparently, that Michelle ended up being rushed to the hospital and it found out that she had a huge tumor in her brain. And he was saying that the boyfriend had brought her to the hospital because she was talking weird. And I was like, wait a second, not my Michelle. I just saw her not too long ago. We just texted each other not too long ago. Her boyfriend? I was like, wait a second, that sounds like her. And he was like, yes, and Michelle, I was like, what? Now, the pastor didn't know that, me and that Michelle were close or even had some type of bond. Because another thing too, I keep things separate. When I'm at the church, when I was visiting the church, I never talked about my business. I never talked about whatever. I never talked about the series, nothing. So, of course, he wouldn't know that me and Michelle were cool. And how shocked I was to hear what was happening. Michelle was in the hospital needing an emergency surgery for her brain. I immediately was so like, what? In shock and just whatever. So when I realized that she had her emergency surgery, they took out the tumor in her brain, and I guess she was doing fine because I called her, and a few days later I called her, and she was like, "Hey, Joy." I was like, "Hey, how are you?" She was in a rehab. No, she was in the hospital first, and she was talking to me like nothing. I was like, "How are you?" She's like, "I'm fine." I was like, "You don't have any pain, nothing?" She was like, "No." And so then a few days later, she went to rehab. I kept up with her, and she was like, "Oh yeah, everything is doing well." She was like, "I just have the headaches because they had a plate in her head, from the surgery." And she was just having a lot of headaches. And she was telling me she would have to do radiation and chemo just to like keep things regulated. So again, this is all about Michelle. So again, come time for chemo, everything worked out fine. Timing is everything, guys. Because around that year, I had worked so much at my job that I was like taking days off, like sporadically. I had like maybe 5 weeks worth of time. And I had accumulated more time just working on the weekends from time to time. Hey, Simply Lola, what's going on? Hey, Simply a sweetheart. Simply a sweetheart. Please keep Nadia in your prayers. Her father passed away yesterday, and Miss TR just told me. I don't know if you already knew, but for the rest of you, if you guys know who Nadia is, I'm sure you guys do. Her father passed away yesterday, so I put her link in the chat earlier. If you can, send well wishes and prayers up to her. Oh, wait, wait, wait. So Marlies, let me see what you said. All right. Um, I'm back. Okay. Yeah. I just found out in the chat today. And that's so crazy because I labeled this my tribute and I'm talking about Michelle. Yeah. Um, so I'm kind of a little messed up anyway, just seeing that because it's shocking to see that because I know in I was in Miss TR's chat yesterday and she was saying that Nadia had contacted her and said that her father was being rushed to the hospital. So I'm thinking like, all right, he's gonna pull through, blah blah blah. And that was the end of that story. And she came in the chat today and told me. So I didn't know that he passed away. I just knew that he was in the hospital. Yeah. So I took off all these days. Timing is amazing, guys. Timing is everything. I took off all these days, and they always landed on the day where Michelle was going to chemo. So I reached out and I asked her, I was like, "Hey, Michelle, would you mind if I came with you to chemo?" She's like, "No, sure, that's fine." I didn't want her to go alone because her boyfriend was working. So he couldn't go, and her parents are elderly and they lived in a whole nother town. So I was like, well, that's my friend. So let me support it if she will allow me to. That's another thing, guys. Only put yourself in positions where people will allow you to be there. So I'm thinking chemotherapy, you're going to be there for the whole day, right? Not at all. Her chemo took literally 15 minutes. She went in, she came out, that was it. I was like, that's it? And she was like, yeah. So I was like, okay, well, where do you like, what do you want to do now? Like, what? So we talked, and then she went her way, I went my way, and we just kept meeting at her treatments. And I was just so thankful that somebody let me be there for them. You know what I'm saying? That was great, especially since she did so much for me. That one little video was like the world to me. I don't know if she realized that or not, but whatever. So she let me go to her treatments, and then I think maybe like a I don't again I don't my timing is off. Some time later, um, she was again admitted into the hospital. I'm like, oh gosh, not again. But I was like, she beat it this time, so let's see what happens. This time the tumor was, I guess, somewhere else, and it was not I think they had did another operation. It gets a little sketchy, guys. It gets a little sketchy. But she passed away. hmm Michelle passed away. And man, that was a blow. That was a real blow. Because Michelle said yes to me. And now Michelle was my friend. Right. So that's why I will always keep that video up. YouTube, with YouTube, you're supposed to have like, quick little intro videos and all of that stuff. But I said, no, I don't care. I'm not your typical YouTuber. This is going to stay here because one, her story is amazing and necessary, and somebody needs to watch it whenever they land on the page for the first time. They need to see this. They need to feel like they're not alone. They need to feel like they're free, especially if they're a parent who's going through something that she went through with losing her son. How many parents lose their children to an abuse, a substance abuse that go untold? How many parents suffer knowing that the child is going through substance abuse? How many family members? Right? So that right there that was a big blow because Michelle said yes to me with no questions asked. Michelle was a real friend. Michelle, I don't know who she is, right? She came into my life right at the right time. Remember, guys, too, when people enter your life, it can be the greatest gift of all. You have no idea. That's why we have to be willing. We need to be willing and able to allow people to be in our lives, especially if they're genuine. And when someone's genuine, you can just feel it. And they'll hit that right note. They'll hit that right note. And while it was a painful note for her, it was a painful note for me because I had to record it, but it was still, she was there, right, 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 right. When I was about to be like, I'm not asking nobody for nothing because everybody says no. And she said yes. I will always respect Michelle. I will always, always talk about Michelle because how many of us can absolutely say that we can meet a perfect stranger, befriend a perfect stranger, and they absolutely end up being a gift in your life? Whether they stay in your life or not, however long it may be, they may even stay in your life for the rest of your life. But acknowledge when a gift is given to you. Acknowledge when that gift is in a human form. That's what we are to each other. We can be all little tributes for each other. Hey, Miss Terrell, what's going on? Hey, Venus Eats, what's going on? How are you? I was just talking about my friend Michelle. She passed away. That was hard. And let me tell you too, when she passed away, nobody told me. Nobody told me she passed away. I had to find out that she passed away. And let me tell you, I was calling her cell phone for like a few days before I found out she passed away. I was calling her cell phone, texting her, nothing. And then when I found out, I was like, dang, why didn't anybody tell me? So that's another thing too. You never know how someone is relatively related to another person. So Whatever. I can't blame anybody for that. I won't blame anybody for that. But I only found out she passed away days after. And then the funeral, I didn't go to the funeral. I would have actually gone to her funeral. I don't do funerals either. Like the last funeral I had ever gone to was a couple years was well, the last funeral that I had wanted to ever go to after that experience was when I went to an infant funeral. It was a 2-year-old baby boy. And after seeing a baby in a casket, I said, no, I will never go to another funeral. And then, of course, somebody else passed away. And I said, well, I'm never walking up to the body. And I haven't, but I would have gone to her funeral. But again, the connection wasn't there. So I didn't get the information. That was a hard pill, finding out that she passed away days later and also finding out that the funeral was days later and nobody told me. I never, and it's not anyone's fault. Her parents are elderly, probably never even knew I existed. Her boyfriend, like, I'm not calling somebody's boyfriend. He never had my information. And so I'm pretty sure that was the last thing on his mind. Like, let me call Joy and tell her. You know what I'm saying? So there was no relation to me, the boyfriend, and her. It was just I knew Michelle, and that was my friend. We spoke through text messaging and sometimes calls, and that's it. But I talked to her often because during that time when she was going through her radiation, I would call her, like once or twice a week just to see how she was. I didn't want to over whatever, but she always talked about cooking and cooking for her boyfriend and, the dogs and wanting to go back to work, all of that good stuff. Michelle, God, I pray and hope and wish and believe that we all need a Michelle in our lives. So that's who Michelle was. Michelle was she was her and I friendship was an unlikely pair because if you see the video, if you watch the video, that's Michelle and me, I'm just a whole nother thing. She was in her 50s and I'm over here in, my ageless age. So like we're two different extremes. She was a mother, I'm a kid, and that was just, we were an unlikely match, but that's what makes it amazing because you never know how your freedom from sorrow can come from another person. And I guess I could say she was a freedom of some sort of sorrow for me because my life was topsy-turvy, her life was topsy-turvy, and somehow we all were able to laugh and, talk to each other. And she was cool. She was definitely cool. She had her little issues, but from when the things that I knew about her for the short period of time that knew her, she was cool with me. She was A-okay in my book. You know what I mean? She was straight out. She said what she had to say, and that was it. But she was very nice. I wish you all could have met her. She was so dope. But Michelle never said no to me. That's the one thing I stood out the most. She never let me down. She never let me down. And I'm sure there are a few of us that can say that we can have at least one person in our life that will never let us down, never gave us a problem in something that we asked from them or of them. Never. So I hope that we learned something today. And that the thing to learn from about people like Michelle is this. One, there will always be at least one person in our life that we come across, maybe permanently or not, who will always have your back. Two, very diplomatic. She never ever, she never ever, she never ever, I never shared anything with her either, nothing real personal. I never did. But I think she knew the things that I was going through. But she never ever held it against me. She was always like, oh, Joy, you're good, da da da, da da da. You will always have that kind of person that comes across your life, in your life. And if you're lucky to keep them and if you're lucky to have them in your life forever, cherish them. And you know how I talk about that legacy? Michelle left a legacy. It's in that video. She was unafraid and unashamed to talk about how her son, the story of her son, and how she felt as a parent from that experience. And I think that's why I respected her even more because she did not mind talking about it. And she was there for me. And that was dope. Will there be another Michelle in my life? I don't know. But if there is, I hope that they don't end up dying off like she did. You know, I hope that never happens. But I hope and I wish, well wish, pray, whatever you believe in, that we all will experience that kind of person, whether they be a perfect stranger. And when people come into your life at whatever stage you're going through, don't slam doors. Don't slam doors. Because imagine if I slammed the door on the whole idea of asking her because I was too afraid of rejection, that she would say no about my series. Imagine that. I would never have been able to have that video. And I probably would never have gotten any closer to her to, like, have minor conversations about life. So don't slam the doors of opportunity of other lives affecting your life in a positive way. Don't allow your sorrow and your misery to affect you from having good things come into your life. Don't allow the rejections of your previous past experiences to come and teeter and fester in your new experiences. Don't allow the opportunity to meet a Michelle to come into your life. Don't deny it. You know how many other people that I've met after, Michelle or whatever, um, then they were never like her. You see people suffering sometimes, and sometimes the sufferation is way more than you, and they still reject you. It happens, it still happens. But guys, this is what happens if you reject someone who can possibly make your life that much more easy, much more soothing. When you reject that, you forever have a hole and things just don't fit just right anymore. But Michelle fit right through my topsy turvy time. And it's only now that I realize, like, how much of an impact that she had in my life for that short period of time. And the time period of me knowing Michelle was about, I would say, a year. I would say a year, a full year of just knowing Michelle, and knowing Michelle meaning, like, we see each other at church one day a week, and then we'll probably text periodically. And I never even gave her my number until after she was like, "Yes, I will do your series." And I never exchanged my number to them. It was always just, we met for a couple minutes, had our bagels and danishes after the church, and then I would leave. I'd boogie out of there and go to the gym. And she was never forceful and trying to get all in my business and, like, well, what's wrong with you? What happened to you? Why you're so guarded? I'm thankful I'm not guarded like I used to be. You know how many more blessings I would have missed? I would have missed meeting you guys. And I apologize, guys, for not looking at the chat because, I apologize. I'll look at the chat after the live. This will probably be a live that I rewatch. I don't know. But I apologize in advance for not reading the comments because, I'm talking about this tribute to Michelle. But long story short, guys, please, please, please don't reject people that in your heart are good, that in your heart mean well. Sometimes, sometimes, I know I mean well, but y'all, I'm human. Sometimes I could come across real harsh. And the only reason why I come across real harsh sometimes is if somebody's hurting somebody that I actually care about or know, and I know it's hurting them, man, I'm ready to beat down. I'm ready to take the gloves off. I'm ready to roll back my skin, roll back the little inspiration in me for a minute and get a little, get all in the dirt. But that's just me. And then I'll put my little inspiration back on, roll back the skin, roll it back up, and be back to being joy. But I don't like injustice. I don't like when I know somebody's suffering from harsh treatment for no reason. And I like to protect. That's my issue. But don't reject people that come into your life during the times that you are having issues. And sometimes people come into your life and not even know you're having issues. But when they're there and you know genuinely like, yo, this is dope, allow them to stay. Because you never know with you rejecting them, how that might make them feel. That might make them feel like they're the worst person in the world. I know that's happened to me on a few occasions where I've reached out, not because I knew something was wrong, but because I felt something was wrong with a person and they rejected me. And that made me feel like trash. Is that their fault? No, but I'm just being honest. It made me feel like pure trash, like I wasn't worth anything. Only because I just wanted to be there, just to be, that invisible shoulder, just to be like, when you hum, you be like, you know how like you moaning, huh? When you moaning because you have no tears can come out of your eyes, but you're in that much grief, and all you could do is just sit and moan. I wanted to be that person, be like, God, I got you, I got you, I got you. It said head to the no, all in my face. And I'm like, all right. But we have to respect people's wishes as well. If somebody says, get away from me, go. Anyway, it's 47 minutes in. If you guys get a Michelle in your life and they happen to be able to live. Oh, and let me tell you this, the conversations that I had with Michelle after she got through her first chemo treatment. Well, not after the chemo treatment. It was after her being in the rehab center. In the rehab center, she said, Joy, I just want to live. She said, I just want to live. And shame, that just made me say, shame on myself for all of the days that when I heard her say that, I was just like, shame on me for all of the days that I took for granted the health that I have. The times where I just like, man, I just, me. This woman is fighting for her life and all she wants to do is live. It's a humbling experience. And I think that's another reason why I always will tribute Michelle and I always will remember her. We'll always talk about her from time to time because she's worthy to be talked about. So live, guys. This woman wanted to live, but her days were cut. She wanted to live. Don't wait until the moments where life is limited to when you realize you want to live. I'm not saying that she didn't realize she wanted to live, but what I'm saying is she shared with me, I want to live. Let that sit in your soul. I want to live. It's crazy. So, if you get a Michelle in your life, cherish them, appreciate them, honor them, be thankful for them. Be thankful that God allowed you to have, God or whoever you believe in, allowed you to have a type of Michelle in your life. And never forget. So I will always keep that video up. I don't care what anybody says. But Joy, you need to have a 30-second intro. I don't care. It ain't about the 30-second intro. It's about helping someone else. For me, that's what it is. I don't care if my channel is being held back because of that. I don't care. Michelle was dope to me. She was honest to me. She was noble to me. She will always be that first video anyone sees. Ooh, that rhymed. That rhymed. And I hope if you guys never did see her video, to check it out. And if you're a person or a parent who's coping with a child who's going through any type of substance abuse or any type of anything that they're neglecting themselves, just watch it and hopefully it'll help lift you up to know that you're not alone. And never be afraid to share your story, because your story is going to free somebody or at least help free somebody. I don't know. She passed away. I think, again, I lost track of time, but I think this is going to be her third year of being passed away. I assume, I don't know. I didn't go to the funeral or anything. I don't remember any of that stuff. I don't remember it, but I would assume it's about 3 years since she passed. I will never forget her. I will never, ever not stop talking about her. I will always honor her. And I hope that we're all blessed to have a Michelle in our lives. And I hope that I get another Michelle or a couple more Michelles, whether it be male or female. I don't care. But just to know that someone has your back without questions asked. That's dope. Guys, keep sincerely yours, Nadia, in your dream. Well, not in your dreams, but in your prayers. Her father passed away yesterday, and I know just from her talking about her dad, he was her everything. So I can only imagine what she's going through. Imagine that how Michelle was for me. Amplify that as her parent. So if you know her, send her something, maybe a DM if you see her on Instagram or her Facebook, or if she ever goes live on YouTube. I don't know when that will be, but please, just send her something, a well wish, a condolence, or whatever, something that's going to help ease the pain just a tiny bit. I am here every single night between 7 and 9. This is Hello World. We talk about everything and anything. After last night, and that's the reason why I wanted to talk about Michelle, because I was going through something and I just remembered, like, dang, she was one person that was really for me and like didn't even know me, but was so dope. Didn't have to ask questions, nothing. Didn't care about whatever I did in my past. Didn't care, but just said yes. Didn't give me a hard time. She just was there and said yes. Didn't give me a hard time. Was a true friend. I hope we all get to experience that in our lives. So, what was I going to say? You guys are beautiful. You are amazing. You can be a Michelle to someone else. Yes. You see the impact that she had on my life, and I only knew her for like a year, if that. A lasting imprint. She left her legacy on me, and I'm just sharing it with you. You can be her or a type of her. We are capable of doing that for someone. That's why I keep saying that you're beautiful and you're amazing. Your soul is beautiful. Your soul is amazing. There is no mistake about any of us. None of us. Don't take life for granted. Don't take your health for granted. Don't take people for granted. Don't take people who want to be there for you for granted. Because they could be the very soothing, healing balm just to help ease the pressure off of you. And boy, don't we all need the pressure eased off of us from time to time? Yes? Yes. If you ever want to get to know anything more about me or my company, Be the Difference Clothing, look at the links down below. You can get t-shirts, onesies, socks, anything. You can get that. As a matter of fact, I found out what my next sock is going to be. So if you ever want to invest in me, those are a few ways that you can. Another way you can invest in me is by telling people about my company, and just telling 5 or 10 people about my company. Let them figure it out for themselves whether my company is somewhere they want to shop or not. But just those simple things go a long way. That's great for me. Um, Again, I'm here every single night between 7 and 9. It's an honor to be here. I'm honored to see you guys. Hey, Adam. Um, I apologize for not looking at the chat. I really do. But I really do appreciate you guys. And the little bit of time that you give me, it means a lot. Yes. And until we meet again, my name is Joy from Be the Difference Clothing, and I am signing out on another episode of Hello World.